My sister's maid of honor shamed me about my past trauma at the wedding, but her cruel sister's apology exposed an even darker betrayal. Plus 2 updates. In Mael Parkas in my teen. Original story: I, 27 female, was a bridesmaid at my older sister's wedding last week. The wedding was beautiful, and everything seemed perfect until the reception. During the reception, the maid of honor, who has been my sister's best friend since childhood, gave her speech. It was emotional, but then she made a joke about how I was the family screw-up who finally managed to do something right by not messing up my bridesmaid duties. Everyone laughed, but I didn't find it funny. I've had a rough few years. I struggled with my mental health and dropped out of college for a while. I've since gotten my life back on track, but it's still a sensitive topic for me. Hearing that joke in front of all our family and friends wasn't funny at all. My sister's best friend and I never really got along, but I never expected something like this from her, especially since the day wasn't about me at all. Why bring me up in the speech? I tried to stay composed, but I felt the tears coming, so I quietly left the reception and went outside to collect myself. My sister followed me out and asked what was wrong. When I told her, she said it was just a joke and she meant nothing bad. I tried to go back inside, but I just couldn't, and I ended up leaving the wedding early. My parents understand why I was upset, but my sister is angry with me. I do feel terrible for leaving, but I also feel like I had the right to feel hurt and humiliated. I said nothing at the moment because I didn't want to cause a scene on my sister's special day. I also can't reason with her right now because she will just ask me if I haven't been taking my medications lately. That's what she does when she's angry with me, so I'm giving her some time to maybe realize how her best friend's joke was out of line. Someone asked me if my sister's best friend and I had argued before, or if I gave her a reason to do this. My sister's best friend and I never went past hi. She told me a few years ago that she, in general, doesn't feel comfortable around someone struggling mentally, because in her head, God only knows what they're capable of. Since she said this, and to this day, I just try to avoid her. Many people commented that I was not the asshole. One commenter said, "The maid of honor was being a mean girl. Her point was to be a bitch, and she was. Her speech should have been about the couple who just got married. There was no reason to bring you into her speech at all, except to be mean. The maid of honor should be ashamed of herself, as she is the asshole here. Your sister not seeing this, and her words to you, also make her an asshole. I'm sorry your sister was crappy to you. Maybe show her this thread." I replied, "This is what I tried to tell my sister." I thought about it again, but I still can't seem to find a reason for her bringing me into her speech. Another commenter who was downvoted said, "You are the asshole. I bet there's another side of this story." To this, I replied, "Every story has another side. What am I supposed to do about that? Call my sister and ask her if her best friend is up for posting about her side? You think I posted on Reddit for advice without putting myself out there? Then what's the point?" Update. Hi. Thanks to everyone who took the time to comment on my post and gave their opinion or advice without being too harsh. I apologize if my update is messy or confusing. I'll try to cover everything, but I don't know when to add context for clarification. If you think there's any missing info or some parts are confusing, please let me know. The same day I posted, my dad called to check up on me and see if my sister and I had talked things out. When I told him no, he said it's better if we talk about it now, and assured me that I have nothing to apologize for. He believes that if my sister thinks she has nothing to apologize for, then the least she can do is make her best friend apologize or fully realize that the joke was out of line. My brother and I met 4 days ago, and he told me that my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, didn't like the way the maid of honor called me a screw-up in front of everyone. Some of those who laughed voiced later that they did so out of nervousness. On Monday, my sister called me to talk. When I made it to her place, her best friend was on the phone and didn't put it down for a second. My sister started by saying that just a few years ago, I would have laughed hard and not taken the joke as an insult. I told her maybe some laughed because they don't know the reason she called me a screw-up. To give you some context, when I was 16, something happened, and that's why I struggled mentally really badly between the ages of 16 and 18. When I was 17, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, and later with depression and anxiety. Since then, I don't like it when someone touches my head, especially my hair and the back of my head or neck. My sister knows everything about this. During our conversation, my sister did most of the talking. At some point, I felt like she had called me just to blame me again without trying to understand my perspective. When I tried to talk, she put her hand on the back of my neck and pulled me toward her with each sentence, as if to say, "Do you understand?" or "Okay." I hated it and felt irritated. I honestly kept thinking if I pushed her away, would I be in the wrong? Would they just call me mental and tell family I got physical? I tried to leave, but she insisted that no one was leaving until we sorted this out. She told her best friend to just apologize. The maid of honor refused and reminded my sister that I was the reason her husband got angry at her on their wedding day because I couldn't take a joke. When I tried to explain why, I told her if she had focused her speech on the bride or groom, then maybe he wouldn't have had a reason to be angry. She refused to listen and brushed my words off. The maid of honor said, "Yeah, whatever, sorry." I was glad it was finally over, and as I was about to leave, I heard her say, "Can't take a joke that everyone knows is true." Both of them laughed, but my sister stopped mid-laugh and apologized. I didn't say anything and left. I've had enough. I know I've had a few rough years. I dropped out of college for a while and that's fine. But I've since gotten my life back on track. My parents helped me through it all and never made me feel like a burden. At first, I was on some strong medications that made me feel tired and sleepy most of the time. After a while, I started to feel a little better with therapy and my family support. During that period, it was me, my parents, and my brother. My sister was 3 hours away for a job and used to visit sometimes, and would often bring her best friend along with her. Looking back, I don't want to say she hates me, but I know she felt ashamed to have a family member struggling with mental health issues. I don't know how to explain this feeling. I've made up my mind and decided to go no contact for now. If my parents and my brother, who were there when I was going through it all, never made me feel that they're ashamed of me, then why would she? I'm still on some medications, but I feel much better than before. I have a stable job, my own place, and friends who love me for who I am. I can say I'm proud of myself a little. I love my family to death and tried to maintain a relationship with my sister all these years, but I'm trying to improve myself, not constantly be reminded of what I was a few years ago. A top commenter said, "This is more than enough in my opinion to just go no contact. She knows about the trauma you went through and blatantly weaponized it against you, and that's just disgusting and cruel. I'm sorry you had to deal with this, and I'm glad you are at a point in life where you can enforce your boundaries and appreciate how far you've come. For future reference, if you ever decide to be around or communicate with your sister, I don't think you should be alone with her. You should be able to have a third party that also knows about your past trauma and boundaries there to act as witness and a mediator if she pulls that kind of bull again." I replied, "I know, but I don't think I will be around her anytime soon. I'm still a little shaken by the fact that she knows everything and still grabbed me by the back of my neck to prove her point." Another commenter said, "You are not the asshole. Your sister has chosen her friend over you. She hasn't apologized, and no one is taking accountability that should be. You need to go very limited contact or no contact with this sister. Your parents should be covering this and really championing you. The Maid of Honor should be ostracized by the rest of your family." My response was, "I've decided to go no contact. I want to move on from what happened and everything she said to me before. She said a lot of hurtful things in the past, but the way she tried to shut me up by grabbing me by the back of my neck, I just can't get over it. She doesn't love or respect me enough to not use that against me." Someone asked, "How would the Maid of Honor know that this happened to her?" I clarified, "My sister brought her best friend home when I was still covered in bruises. Of course, I didn't want to see anyone other than my family, but I was in no condition to voice my wants. I'm sure I left my room at least 2 or 3 times, and she saw me. Besides, my sister brought her best friend along when it was better for me to not interact with anyone but family. I'm certain she told her everything." A supportive commenter said, "I would tell your family exactly what transpired and send your new brother-in-law a link to these posts. You've overcome so much. Keep moving forward and cut the toxic out of your life. Best wishes and many, many blessings for your future happiness and success." I thanked them, saying, "Thank you. I'm going to see my parents tomorrow along with my brother. They will probably ask me how it went, and I will tell them exactly what happened." Second update. Hey, this happened a few days ago, but it's been a busy week for me, and I was a bit hesitant to update. I went to see my parents with my brother. My dad texted me before to let me know that my sister was coming too. I didn't want to cause any problems between her and my parents by telling them about what she and her best friend did. But when she started the conversation with lies, I told them everything. I made it clear that I'm not asking them to take sides, and that I will still come to family gatherings, but I won't engage with her in any way. My dad couldn't let the fact that she grabbed me by the back of my neck slide. My mother, however, tried to make it seem like it was out of desperation to make me accept her apology. What my sister said next sealed the deal for my mom. She asked them how anyone is still supposed to remember what exactly triggers me after all these years, and that I already got over it since I didn't react. She even questioned, "What if I've been faking it all these years?" I know I shouldn't have said this, and I really regret it now, but I told her I wish she would go through exactly what I went through. Maybe then she could give me a better example of how I should have handled it all. My sister told me to get over it and stop begging magazines to post about what happened at the wedding, and then she left. My dad told me later that her best friend's younger sister read about it in People magazine. It was posted on their Instagram. My sister kept telling me to get over it, but she's the only one who still brings up what happened. My mother now understands why I decided to go no contact. My dad and brother are 100% supportive of my decision, but I can't stop thinking about what she said. She tried to trigger a reaction out of me, and now thinks I've been faking it because I didn't give her one. It's been 11 years. Years of therapy and medications. Of course I've gotten better. Not 100% though, since I felt irritated. And if it wasn't for already being labeled crazy, I would have shoved her away. I feel like I should have cut contact with her the moment she asked my parents why I didn't stay at the party and wait for my brother to come and pick me up. The reason I left that party was because some of the guys who were invited were much older than I was, and they were getting drunk and loud. 2 of them followed me. The first thing my sister told my parents was, and still believes, that I left with them because I was naive, and just scared or ashamed to admit it even after both of them confessed everything. But I was young, I guess, and cutting contact with her wasn't something I could do back then. I also want to mention how supportive my partner has been through all of this. From the day I told him everything, he has been incredibly understanding. Even though I never asked him to, and he never told me, I know he still goes through each movie or series before we watch it together to make sure there aren't any scenes that could make me uncomfortable. When I put something on, he finds a way to distract me for a few minutes to check it before we watch. He has never made me feel like a screw-up. He makes me feel like I still deserve to be loved. Thank you to each of you for your kind comments and reaching out in private. There's something else that happened in the last few days, but I can't mention it. Since they found out I posted on the internet from People Magazine's Instagram, I assume they searched for the original post here on Reddit. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong though. I didn't mention any personal information in my original post or updates. A commenter asked, "Correct me if I am wrong, but wasn't your sister's new husband upset about the whole thing? Where does he stand? Is he also upset, or is she also lying to him?" Sorry if you already mentioned this, and I am repeating a question. I am glad you have a strong support system. Nothing you have gone through is anything that you should be ashamed of. I responded, no, I didn't mention it. Read the edit and you'll understand why it's better not to mention my sister's husband in my update. Thank you. Another commenter who was downvoted said, original poster had reality pointed out to her, and she couldn't handle it because she is embarrassed over her own actions. I have zero sympathy for original poster. I replied, I'm not embarrassed by my own actions. The only thing I felt ashamed of for a while was dropping out of college to deal with my mental health struggles. And yes, this is the only thing the Maid of Honor knows about me along with the incident, because my sister thought it was okay to bring her over when I was still bruised. The joke was about that. I assure you I have no failures other than leaving that party. I've already said enough for people who want to get it, and I don't need to mention in every sentence that I'm a sexual assault survivor because this post isn't about that.